Alright, so I got project cards to work with my 1080 Ti, so now it's time to do some testing. And I've been playing around with the graphics settings, and even on the lowest settings, this is the kind of frame rates I'm getting. When there's other cars in the view, if I'm in the lead, there's no problem, but obviously you're not always in the lead. So let's let this run a little bit. You can see, so up here, my frame rates are down 40, 30. The actual frame times are okay, but yeah, so down in the 30s. I tried going down to the lowest settings and didn't improve very much. So this graphics card is not going to work for us long term. It's just not, the performance isn't good enough. So we're going to try to find a new graphics card that'll work better without paying too much money. Okay, so here's the graphics card I'm looking at, the 1080 Super. Now on the face of it, the performance of the 1080 Super is about the same as the 1080 Ti. I thought about trying to get this 2080 Ti versus the 1080 Ti, but I can't find a hybrid version of this, which I'll show you in a minute once I get it. Wasn't able to find a hybrid version of this that was reasonably priced or even available. So I have a quiet PC, and I like to have keep my gaming quiet while I'm playing, so I use hybrid and water cooling for my CPU and so forth. So, but anyway, if you look at this, the raw benchmarks are not that much different. But if you go down here, the game FPS, you see some significant improvements of the 2080 Super over this. So this card I have is 4 years old now, and this is only a couple years old, or about a year and a half it looks like. Yeah. So anyway, we're going to get one of these, a hybrid version of these, and then we're going to try that, and I think it should work. And then we can sell this one for a good chunk of what this costs, because I'm going to get a used, like new version of the hybrid version of this 2080 Super. So we'll see how that works out, and we'll keep going. Here's my computer. It's custom built 2017. It's got a Be Quiet case. And I like things quiet. That's why I bought a Be Quiet case. Be Quiet. And here's my old graphics card. So it's a GeForce GTX 1080 Ti. So at the time it was the top of the line. But that was 4 years ago. Almost 4 years ago. So it's built-in water cooled. So it comes from the factory with a water cooled closed loop system. Here's the radiator. Here's the radiator. So the fan blows air out through the radiator out the back of the computer. So here's the new card. Here's the new card installed. So it's right in here, and then here's the radiator and the fan in the back. So I got some black tape on the side because otherwise this quiet fan I got was white, and I thought it didn't look very good from the side. So this is running pretty much all the time. It helps exhaust air out of the back of the computer. So this is the 2080 Super Hybrid, RTX 2080 Super Hybrid. So that's my new graphics card, and we'll see if it can get our frame rates up high enough so that we can enjoy using our HP Reverb G2 with project cards and Star Wars Squadrons, and eventually Wings Over Flanders Field. I'm going to try that next after I get these two working. Alright, that's our challenge. So we got the card installed. Now it's time to start overclocking it. So we're using this Precision X1 from EVGA tool that they provide that lets you adjust the memory clock, GPU clock, GPU voltage, target power, and target temperature. So from what I read online, you want to maximize these two things, and you want to maximize the voltage, possible voltage of the GPU. Some guys say this is dangerous. From what I could tell, that's not true. If it needs some extra voltage to get up to the boost clock for the GPU, it'll go ahead and do that. So we got those set, so we can apply that. And then we need to start messing with the memory clock. So some videos have you change the memory clock and the GPU clock. Those are the last two things we need to set. kind of randomly and just see how it goes, and that doesn't seem very scientific. So what I can gather from another source is that it's better to first mess with your memory clock, get that as high as you can, and then make sure that's stable, and then start messing with the GPU clock. So that's what we're going to do. So to start with, we're going to use, for the memory clock, this is a quick test, quicker than the other benchmark we're going to use. It's completely free. I'll put a link in the description. And you set this up. What I found to work the best is 1080p Extreme. I don't have a 4K monitor, so I don't think I need to use these. And then this is a benchmark that'll test how whether or not your overclocking is stable. So if this test passes consistently, then you know that your GPU can handle the overclocking that you applied to it. So I found through I'm not going to show this test. There's a lot of places that show this test. I'm just going to tell you that I was able to overclock this memory for this card to 1,114 higher megahertz. So your card is going to be different, and if you have a different card, of course, it's going to be different. So it just depends on the silicon you get. So run this test, and then we make sure this is stable, and then we switch to a even more stringent test, which is called Heaven. So the Heaven benchmark. Before I do that, let me go ahead and bring up my results for the superposition. So with the stock settings, I was using let's see. Yes, I was using the 1080p Extreme, and my stock settings, my score was 7124, and average frame rate was 53.29 frames per second. And when I went with the overclocking settings on the memory, I got 7328. So this is only the memory overclocking the memory itself. So that's the results we got with that. And then to make sure they're stable, I ran this Heaven benchmark. This is a lot more rigorous. Test more things. It basically does a rendering of this medieval or fantasy village with all these crazy sculptures and buildings with all sorts of lighting effects. So there's 26 scenes, and this takes 3 or 4 minutes to run. The superposition takes about a minute or so, so it's a lot quicker. So I made sure that my memory clock was stable. In fact, I was able to go a little higher with the superposition. When I started running this one, I had to back off this memory clock a little bit. So now that I've got this going, I can then start playing with my GPU. So again, there's lots of videos about how to run this benchmark, Heaven benchmark. Again, this is also free. I'll put a link in the description. Then I was able to increase the GPU clock by 100. So that's not a lot, but every bit helps. So we can apply that and save it to one of these profiles. And when we start up, we can say, I want to start this up with the OS to let me know that it's running. And then for now, I'm not going to apply the previous settings on load. I'm going to run this for at least a few months and make sure it's stable. Then I'll go ahead and put this in, so that every time I load, it'll go ahead and apply this. Until then, I'll have to remember to load my profile 1, because otherwise, if it becomes unstable, you'd have to boot up in safe mode, which is kind of a pain. So I'd rather just remember to do it each time before I start playing. It'll be obvious when I play the game that it's not running very fast. So that's what I was able to do, and we'll go ahead and try our game now and see how much better it runs. The other thing I did to make sure my graphics card is running at the maximum performance, I went into the Nvidia control panel. This is after installing the new card. Went to Manage 3D Settings, and went down to Power Management Mode for my program, Project Car. So there's 2 tabs. There's Global and Program Settings. So I picked Project Car 64-bit. Went down to Power Management Mode and said Prefer Maximum Performance. The other options are Optimal Power and Adaptive, but we want to make sure that the Nvidia driver is running the graphics card at the maximum performance all the time when we're playing our game. So I've got the Steam VR set to the standard resolution for the HP Reverb G2, so I'm able to go to full resolution with this new graphics card. Render quality is high, so I've got all the default settings here. It's on custom, but these are the default settings. So with this graphics card, I'm able to run the HP Reverb G2 at full capacity, which is great. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Post a comment if you have any questions or ideas, and I'll try to respond. That's all for now, but more videos are coming, and if you want to see them, please subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification icon if you don't want to miss one. This is Beta Cygni signing out, and keep looking up.